Andy Henderson, an industry analyst at GE Digital, had an interesting three-part series called A Perspective of the Manufacturing Future, in which he takes a look at how the use of existing and emerging technologies, such as some of those we just talked about, will impact tomorrow's manufacturing. And really, this is one person or companies, GE in this case, prognostications about what the future of manufacturing holds for us in terms of technology. So let's look at machining centers, for instance. So in the case of cutting tools, a lot of you have cutting tools, you have machining centers, CNCs and so forth. So Henderson says that in the case of cutting tools, where can already be monitored on the fly. But he's saying that it's going to be possible in the future that worn tools will be replaced by robots. You're going to have tool wear monitoring, which is actually going on now. A lot of machining centers use laser scanning or video scanning tools to look at their tools, but now we're talking about once it's been determined that those tools are due for either sharpening or refurbishing or replacement. Rather than a human being doing that, a robot will actually come over to the machine, extract the tool, put a new tool in place, and either dispose of or somehow disposition the tool that was just removed. So it takes kind of the human out of that. Kind of actually allows for lights out manufacturing, really. So data from monitoring the tools could be used to predict the life of the tool. It could be used to determine if tool wear is caused by some problem with the machine itself. And again, you could automate the preventative maintenance process using data collected on the fly from cutting tools. So again, what we're saying here is that all of this data, which in a lot of machining centers already is being collected, but now rather than just being this data being collected and then a human being coming in, interpreting the data, and then telling somebody, a maintenance person or whatever operator to go out and do something, that a lot of this is going to be automated in the future. This data is going to come in, it's going to be processed, and some sort of automated system is now going to deal with this data.
See, we heard about this at IMTS as well.
We did hear about this. We had a great demo from Siemens.
Exactly.
Yep.
So this is definitely, this isn't weird future way out there stuff. This is stuff that's definitely practical and happening and moving in that direction.
In fact, part of what Siemens was showing was really advanced machine learning and AI and augmented reality. In fact, where a demo we saw from Siemens, they had sensors on machine tools and machining operations that fed back into a 3D model. It was digital twins, right? They had a digital twin of a machining operation, so that what you saw in the CAD representation of that machining operation, what was actually going on in the real machine. So again, you had a digital twin. And this is kind of, then they could feed that forward or feed it back into the process to change the process that was going on in order to optimize that
workflow in real time. Yeah, exactly
so,
right.
Again, this isn't pie in the sky. This stuff is happening. So, and now another thing that could happen is all that real-time tool life data from that operation could be used as feedback to AI systems that we just mentioned, and you could automatically adjust machine process parameters to optimize not just the machine process for an overall process, but optimize the machining costs of each individual part. Suppose you have a machining center that works on different parts. Well, rather than just optimize your machining center, you optimize your process for each individual part, allowing you to produce that part at a lower cost while still maintaining quality levels. So we're talking about individual parts, not an entire process that might encompass multiple parts. So that you can see where the value would be in that.
Exactly.
Henderson also, getting away from, let's say, the physical machining process, Henderson also talks about data silos and how in the future those silos are going to go away. I mean, think about how often there is a disconnect between sales and manufacturing and your CRM, your customer monitoring and reporting systems, diagnostics and services and product development. Each of those functions or departments often work with complete disregard, deliberate or otherwise, to the other. And yet think about the connection that there exists today between customer, monitoring and reporting and design, or customer reporting and manufacturing? How about between sales and manufacturing? We know about the connection there. Or how about this? How about human resources in manufacturing? What happens when a person's sick or there's a planned department meeting? Is that information automatically communicated to schedulers and project planners? I mean, I can't tell you how often this happens, and you know it yourself. Somebody's planned a big company-wide meeting, but never told anybody ahead of time there's going to be a manufacturing shutdown, and they don't know until the night before, oh, by the way, we're shutting down manufacturing. I hope you can catch up later.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
In the future, writes Henderson, all this data is going to be shared, and the actions are going to be automated. Field failures may trigger actions in manufacturing design. Supply chain failures will trigger actions in purchasing and production. He gives a really good example. He says, suppose there's a component failure on a product at a customer site. That's going to be linked in the future to manufacturers' equipment and personnel inside of a shop. Who actually built that product? The supplier who supplied the raw material to that product. The quality checks throughout the manufacturing process for that particular product or that specific device. The design of the product, the analysis and testing that went into the design, the customer order that drove the product configuration. Imagine how much easier it's going to be to do root cause analysis and mitigation when all the data that went into that one specific device is all available in one place and in the proper context for the person who's reviewing it. And like I just said, this isn't pie in the sky stuff. Neither was the Machine Center example. The technology and the software is there, and both hardware and software, and companies are offering some or all of these solutions right now today. I mean, it really just boils down to looking at our entire manufacturing process in a different way, rather than siloed operations in a more holistic viewpoint. How can we leverage technology, software, and hardware so that all of this data we are collecting can be used to inform or automate our systems? I mean, just as fascinating stuff, and this isn't decades off. This is really years off. A lot of this.
It's really in a sense happening.
And
now.
A lot of it is happening. Like I said, we mentioned Siemens.
Yeah,
Hexagon's doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, these things aren't. These things don't happen usually in huge breakthrough moments where all of a sudden, like now, wow, we're doing this.
No, it's just slowly.
It's slow evolution of this stuff as it changes and as it evolves, and it becomes the reality before you even know it sometimes,
right.
So we go to an IMTS in 2016 and we see these things, and we talk to people and we read articles like this, and we go to IMTS in 2018 and now it's just reality. I mean, it's just happening, and it happened over the course of dozens of little shifts of that consciousness over the course of those 2 years. Fascinating stuff, and this industry is this industry is where it's happening. If you think about it, I mean, if you think about industry in general, this is where the action is right now.
And also, I mean, we talk about getting youth interested in manufacturing. Just, and we say it over and over. It isn't just nuts and bolts anymore. I mean, it's super high tech stuff going on, and they need technology people. They need. I mean, it's amazing what's going on.
See, the idea of bringing back jobs that are turning screws is really missing the big picture. The idea is to have jobs, start companies that involve this as the key differentiator, and bring people here that want to do that work. That's really important, I think, and that's the missing piece of all this. Great stuff, George.